Why, Blaire? Why?
A lot more people that supported me than I expected, especially some of the big name lifters and people that were very well respected in the sport.
Being the first licensed professional male boxer who happens to be trans, I never wanted to be the first. I just wanted to box.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video topic is a little bit touchy, although I'm not quite sure why I'm warning you about that. Have I ever done a single video on a subject that isn't touchy? I don't think I ever have. Y'all don't come here for candle reviews. I'm sure there's someone out there who does it and does it very well, but bitch, that's not me. So let's talk. So we've talked about trans sports before, trans people in sports, but there are some recent developments. Recently, Idaho moved toward banning the inclusion of male to female trans people in girls' sports in
It's not good.
college and high school. And on a federal level, there is the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, which was just introduced, has not passed.
Biological males? Yikes. Alright, we're getting to the data earlier than I expected we would have to here, but chat will do its thing. So trans athletes are at no significant advantage in athletics, especially since hormones reverse any strength discrepancies, yet face substantial discrimination in athletics. Specific instances of trans people winning competitions doesn't actually prove anything statistically. There's this study. It's a meta-analysis, which means it's like it's a combination of multiple studies. Of 8 research articles and 31 sports policies, and the conclusion was that there's no direct or consistent research suggesting transgender female individuals or male individuals have an athletic advantage at any stage of their transition, which includes cross-sex hormones and gender-confirming surgery. This particular subject is in need of more and better research, and because of this, anti-trans sports policies are likely based on little, if any, empirical evidence on the subject. And yet, they experience substantial discrimination regardless. Any athletic advantages a trans girl or woman arguably may have as a result of her prior testosterone levels dissipate after about 1 year of estrogen therapy. So it doesn't matter if the bones are denser or whatever. The advantage goes away after about a year, according to the actual evidence. According to medical experts on the issue, the assumption that a trans girl or woman competing on a sports team would have a competitive advantage outside the range of performance and competitive advantage or disadvantage that already exists among female athletes is not supported by evidence. And yet we have another one. It's primarily the lack of public understanding that remains the greatest cause for the exclusion, not any kind of advantages. There are interconnecting themes to substantiate this prominence of exclusion, such as the impact of alienating sports experiences at school, the intimidating nature of the changing room environment, the fear of public space and how this drastically constrained their ability to engage in sports, and the overall impact of their exclusion in terms of being denied the social health and well-being aspects. So yeah, the real issue here is that trans people are discriminated against within the domain of athletics. It's not that they're somehow like these gods of athletics and shit. Like, the advantage goes away after a year, according to actual, literal, fucking, factual, empirical evidence. So the facts and logic aren't on you guys' side. But yeah, I can't believe I had to get into that this early in this video, but here we go.
Passed yet, but clearly the sentiment is there. The frustration with trans sports is increasing. You know, I've kind of predicted this for quite a while, that eventually people would get fed up enough to start passing laws about this stuff, and it is happening. In this video, I want to react to some trans athletes, a trans powerlifter, and I also want to talk about female to male trans athletes because I've never actually even talked about that, and I don't think anyone ever usually does. They're kind of, I don't know, people just really ignore that side of the coin when it comes to the whole like sports issue, so we're going to talk about that and all of the bans and what my personal feelings on the bans are. So let's get started with Janae Marie Kroc. She's a trans powerlifter, and here's her story.
Was being like the most intense, the craziest. So I was like the alpha.
She is huge.
The alphas. And so I was like the last person in the world that anyone suspected. And that's what made it, I think, even more shocking and made it more difficult for me to come out. A lot more people that supported me than I expected, especially some of the big name lifters and people that
Muscle mommy.
were very well respected in the sport. And that was really nice to see. But the fan base, there were a lot of people that were very upset about it.
Okay. So, disclaimer, I have no hatred in my heart for Janae. I think Janae seems like a really nice person and obviously is an amazing athlete. I mean, trans aside, anything else that's a part of the story aside, you cannot deny that that is some amazing bodybuilding. Like, that's crazy. Like, who looks like that? Like, no one looks like that. And I am not trying to make fun of her appearance. I know people will just run to that because people like to just say I'm a big old meanie rather than addressing any of my points, but I'm
Blaire, I address all of your so-called points every single time I cover you, honey.
I'm not making fun of her appearance. I mean, I think that obviously her appearance is outlandish, and I think that even she would admit that, because how could she not? But that's not the point. The bigger point is the idea, the concept of Janae competing against biological women is ludicrous. It's almost intentionally ignorant, and anyone who thinks that
Why? Do you have a reason?
some sort of level playing field is a liar.
No, we're not. We're people who've looked at the evidence behind the issue.
You're lying to her, you're lying to others, and you're lying to yourself,
Blaire White is lying as we speak.
sweetie. The idea that Janae, who transitioned well into her adulthood and developed completely male, can
It doesn't matter.
now compete against women is bad. It's a bad idea. It's a failed idea. I mean,
It's not, though.
the audacity of anyone to pretend or insist that there are no very obvious benefits that Janae, as someone who developed completely male well into her adulthood, would enjoy when competing against people who did not develop male is insanity.
No, it's just statistically accurate.
And something we don't often see is that Janae actually went back post-transition and competing against men just because, I guess. Like, it was kind of like...
Also, isn't Blaire also lying about the fact that she ever competed against women? Let's take a look at this now. It's come to my attention that YouTuber Blaire White posted a video about trans athletes today in which she decided to feature me. Unfortunately, everything she said about me was incorrect, and as a result, I'm receiving a lot of hate. I've been very clear about the fact that all of the records I've broken and all of the championships that I've won in powerlifting were prior to my transition when I was still competing in the men's division. I've also been very vocal about the fact that I've never competed as a woman and have no intention of doing so in the future. She's never competed against women. And she says it's not her position on everybody, just her own personal decision. So yeah. Lies upon lies from Blaire.
She's gone back and forth competing with men and women based on I don't know what.
No, she hasn't.
I mean, that's just a dick move. No pun intended. Okay, pun intended, but I'm a fucking tranny, so I can make that pun. Anyways.
Yikes.
A very important point that I see almost no one ever making online, and these are conversations that you guys know I follow very closely online in the discourse. I never see anyone making the point that, like, the age at which someone transitions matters a lot when it comes to should they be on a certain team when they're playing sports. I mean, if a
Is that in the research, though? I didn't see anything about that in what we just looked at.
male to female trans person transitions at 12 or 13 and never ever experiences even a drop of male puberty
It's a non-issue even if she did, though.
and never develops male, like, you have a much better argument for why that person is cleared to go on the girls' team. But when you have someone who is in their 30s or 40s and transitions and gets to keep all of the muscle mass and the bone density and the height and the hand size,
It changes.
and just all of that,
The advantage dissipates in a year.
what I can't. Let's just list off some facts, rapid fire style here. Biologically speaking, male athletes average 4 to 12%.
I feel like what you guys might not understand is the fact that, like, there are cis women who are huge as well. And, like, what the study was saying was that transitioning literally with, like, hormones literally makes you fall within the average, or within the range of how good or bad a cis woman would do in the sport. There's no advantage.
Body mass. Females average 12 to 23, so double. Males have longer limbs and more bone density, thicker bones, and this is important to note because hormones, no matter the age you take them, do not reverse the development of your bone structure.
But they do dissipate any athletic advantage you have.
Once you have it,
compared to cis women.
You have it for life. Doesn't matter how long you're on hormones post that. If you have it, you have it. It does not reverse it. It does not change
Within a year.
it. That does not give you wider hips in terms of bones. It does not.
And Blaire White will never tell you this. She'll never tell you that the actual factual fucking information behind it. And all of these facts and logic bros don't care about it when it comes to people that they don't like.
Not make you shorter, none of that. And I've seen some trans women on Twitter and stuff say that they went on hormones and like instantly like lost like 6 inches of height. Girl, stop lying. In fact, some female athletes are actually starting to speak out. Roll the clip.
There was a problem.
I competed against a biological male, and they beat me.
Madison lost to Jude Eastwood.
Oh, boo-hoo. You lost to someone who's trans. Wow. Aw. It must be because she's trans. Oh, she's a quote-unquote biological male. Oh, that's why. It's not just because I'm a worse athlete than them.
Gender student athletes are competing cross-country in Division I at the University of Montana. Madison and her teammate Mary Marshall believe losing to Eastwood was unfair since Eastwood was born a male.
When you look at a lot of the facts and how a male
Turf Smalding.
body develops through puberty and like all the advantages that they have biologically on females, that it really bugged me.
Okay, I want to link this girl to this study that literally says the idea that there's an advantage isn't supported by evidence at all.
My whole thing is equal treatment is not special treatment, okay? Including trans women in sports leagues that they very obviously should not be in terms of fairness, and just doing it for the sake of posturing as very accepting and woke and tolerant does no one any favors at all. Doesn't even do them any favors. It's not fair to anyone involved.
Blaire, the issue as far as trans athletics right now is the discrimination against trans athletes. It's not the fact that trans athletes exist, okay? So yes, that is doing people favors.
And here's another thing no one ever talks about. Is there any real argument why there shouldn't be trans leagues? I mean, if this is as common of a problem to where we're having legislation introduced, hella schools are going through this. I mean, I even know that my nephew's school has 2 different trans athletes going to the school on 2 different sports teams. I don't remember what the sports were, but there's a lot of controversy in the school because these 2 trans students have not even began hormone replacement therapy, but they're playing on the team of their choice and they're excelling. Clearly, go figure. Maybe a school wouldn't have enough.
Honestly, this might be a hot take, but who cares? In high school sports, who cares? Like, I honestly don't care.
People to populate a trans league, but certainly just community leagues, and that seems like a much fairer option. Now,
I care more about the idea that people will be included in the activities that they feel passionate about than I do that, oh, they're doing well because X reason. It's like, get over it.
let's get into female to male athletes because no one ever talks about that. Like, literally ever. They're completely left out of the conversation, which, by the way, I feel like trans men are left out of the conversation a lot.
True, because people are more transphobic towards trans women in this respect.
I feel like the focus is always on us as trans women. I don't know why. I mean, they don't even provoke like a fraction of the controversy.
Being the first licensed professional male boxer who happens to be trans, you know, it's something I'm proud of, but it was never something that I was chasing. I never wanted to be the first. I just wanted to box.
All right, so clearly, I would hope that no rational person thinks that this guy should compete on the women's team simply because he was born biologically female. I don't think anyone would argue that. Like, beard and all, testosterone and all, like, no, honey, that'd be bad too. And by the way, testosterone on trans men has so much more of a physical effect than estrogen on trans women.
Blaire, you're wrong. Look at yourself, first of all, and then, again, refer back to the data. Always refer to facts and logic. According to the experts, the assumption that a trans woman competing on a women's team would have a competitive advantage outside the range of performance and competitive advantage or disadvantage that already exists among cis women is not supported by evidence.
These are just facts. I don't know why.
That's what I'm saying. These are just facts, bitch.
I think he's clearly more fitted to compete on a men's team so long as he meets the standards to be on that team. The difference is I would assume that just like in reverse of trans women, it would be more of an uphill battle for a trans man to meet the standards to be on a men's team, whereas a trans woman can meet the standards to be on a women's team, typically probably a lot easier. Girl, I know we're going back and forth a lot. I hope it's not confusing. If anything, hypothetically, a trans man would probably be at a biological disadvantage on a men's team, and so
That's not backed up either.
I guess I can see why they don't cause a fraction of the controversy of trans.
No, it's literally just because of the fact that people are more transphobic towards trans women in this respect, because toxic masculinity, etc. So
Trans women, because I don't know, I don't see really as much of an issue. Shout out to trans men for always keeping it low key. All right, so let's jump back to the bans and the backlash. I really do feel as though this is sort of a very simple, natural consequence of sort of the entirety of the trans community, their activists, and the wokies, as we call them, really plugging their ears at every ounce of evidence that people are constantly trying to give them. That
Blaire, what evidence? If you can point me to studies that contradict what I have, I will actually look into it, but I haven't seen any evidence from you guys on as far as the so-called advantage that you're seeing. I don't see it. You don't have data.
it's not about hating trans people. It's not
Yes, it is. There's definitely some of that going on.
about like having horrible feelings towards them. It's literally just, this isn't fair, and it's obvious. Can you guys please address this?
I'm addressing your claims. We are. Here we are. I'm the left. I'm here to address your concerns. They're invalid.
And they just don't. There is no amount of facts or statistics that you can throw at people who are pro-trans people
Where are your facts and statistics?
in sports under any and all circumstances.
Show me.
There's no amount of like outcry from female competitors,
Blaire, show me.
biologically female competitors, that makes them sway their position. It's just about, no, this is the accepting thing, this is the tolerant thing, must do,
Blaire,
period.
I have stats. Show me your stats. I'm not seeing you. I have more facts than you do on this.
End of it, la la la. And that's like, that's not the way to go about things. You know, I always hear from these people that science...
Maybe she linked the evidence in the description. Let's find out. New merch, Twitter and Instagram, Snapchat, my second channel, previous video, and another video about it. There's no... That didn't happen.
Science matters and facts matter, and, you know, do these ones not matter? Do the very obvious
Which ones?
biological advantages that trans athletes have over trans female competitors, those facts don't matter? So science only matters when it's in your favor? That's...
Blaire. It only matters when they're in your favor. You haven't shown me the facts that are in your favor, because they don't exist.
Dumb. You guys know I am all about limited government. That is what I believe in. And so I'm naturally not going to be inclined to love the government coming in and
I want to see you two have a fight. Yeah, I want to have a fight as well.
banning things, when in replacement of the government banning it, we should all just be using our common fucking sense. But that's wishful thinking. So if these
Oh my god, Blaire.
bans do create more fairness, and if they have nuance written into them, which they usually never ever do, that maybe people who don't go through, you know, male puberty can be involved in women's sports and women's teams, because I don't really see a reason why they wouldn't be
That would just be somewhat less discriminatory.
able to. I think it should really just apply to people that do end up going through male puberty and then go on these women's teams, because that is so far from fair. But you know, nuance, common sense, those are pre-2020 concepts, really, if you think about it. And with all that being said, I feel like
Those are pre-Blaire White concepts.
this video, definitely subscribe to this YouTube channel. I know you watched 4 or 5 videos in the past. I know you're probably gonna watch a few more. You might as well join the family. I don't have any friends, so I kind of need subscribers to make up for it. It's not healthy, I know. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, because I post on there way more than I do
Don't follow
on this
her.
platform, so you gotta follow those to keep up with me. And I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be very, very soon. Bye, guys.
Oh yeah, we're lacking the type of common sense that causes transphobia, yeah. And then what was this? Oh yeah, these two people competing against each other would be totally ridiculous. They're not in the same weight class or the same sport. Oh yeah, she also left a comment on this video. Let's take a look at that. Blaire, I really wish you'd reached out to me before making a video including me and spreading a bunch of misinformation. If you'd done some research ahead of time, you would have known that all of my records and championships were achieved in the men's division. I've never competed as a woman, and I have been vocal about the fact that I have no intention to. I respect your right to have your own opinion on trans athletes or any other topic, but spreading misinformation only causes more problems. If you have any questions or would like to discuss this further, feel free to reach out. Did she respond? I'm not seeing a response from Blaire White yet. Is there one? I don't... It's funny, because they're all like, oh, get this at the top. It is at the top. Blaire hasn't acknowledged it. Blaire, this isn't cool. Fact check and apologize. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Holy shit. Holy fuck. The it's lagging so bad now. Yeah, but yeah, Blaire didn't even reply to that. The other woman in the picture is Amber Larson, who won a bodybuilding competition. Janae is a power lifter. That's different. Janae identifies as transgender fluid non-binary. Blaire ignores this. Blaire ignored her identity. And then laughed about her being a quote-unquote biological man. Yeah. Blaire sucks. Hey, Monkey Dog 182. But yeah, Blaire White is bad. I want to like that comment though. Slightly higher chance that Blaire will see it, but I don't have a lot of hope in that. Blaire sucks. She cute though? Yeah, I mean, kind of.